Are live right now. Awesome. I think everyone can see us. Amazing. Welcome, everyone. Super excited to have everyone here. Let's see. Let's see how many folks are with us right now already. Wow. We just went live just a minute ago, and we already have about 20 people who are joining us right now. Let's see. Fantastic, super exciting. Looks like we have about 200 people who have said attending. So very much looking forward to get started and see everyone here very soon. Amazing. Okay, awesome. So we will get started in the next 5 minutes, exactly at 4:05. But welcome, Saqib. Welcome, Jonathan. Hope you guys are having a good day so far. Jonathan, you're in the UK, is that right?
Yeah, I am. Good afternoon to everybody who's joining us. Yes, I'm in the UK. I'm in the north of England, so it's a pleasure to be joining everybody.
What's the weather like right now over there?
Oh, it's fairly overcast. It's not too
Okay.
cold, but it's not raining, so I'm very grateful. Yeah, it's okay for the
Okay.
UK.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Thank you
I
for
was
asking.
yeah, I was in London last year, and it was my first time there, and I gotta say, like the food in London is incredible. I don't know if you agree.
Look, I think the food in the UK is
Hmm.
often excellent.
Okay.
Um, there's a diverse range to choose
Right,
from because
right,
we are a multicultural country and society.
right.
But I've got to turn it on its head and say I was in Dubai back in October,
Hmm.
and alongside Saqib, I enjoyed some fantastic
Okay,
meals and food. I was in Melbourne, Australia in December. Different cuisine, but again, fantastic. I I think you've just got to get out there and experience some of the culinary delights that each country has to offer
oh,
because there
absolutely,
are many.
absolutely.
Yeah, oh yeah, but no, the UK has some very good restaurants.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad that Saqib, you were able to show Jonathan around, right? Hopefully, you showed Jonathan some of the hole in the wall places in Dubai as well, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Which
We've been to Burj Khalifa, top of the Burj Khalifa, then uh, and Dubai, then I think JBR. So yeah,
right,
some of the very prominent places we've
Yeah,
been.
yeah,
Yeah, but it was
amazing.
quite a like a very short trip. I think he stayed for like 2 nights or 3 nights, something
Okay,
like that. And we had a wonderful event actually on 8th of October, which was where we invited a lot of very prominent people from investment banking, from accountancy, and a lot of people actually joined. So
amazing.
it was a new members ceremony as well in Dubai, which
Hmm.
is going to
Hmm.
be like kind of a norm for us now every year to do for to pin all the new members. So yeah, it was
Amazing.
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing. So, what's interesting is that the IFA is such a multinational and just folks from all over the world. And actually, we have Brendan with us today. And Brendan is actually joining us from Canada. So, welcome, Brendan. Really excited to have you here with us. I think we get started, right? Looks like we have critical mass right now. So we will get started. So, first of all, welcome everyone. Super excited to be hosting this today. So, this is the webinar on accountants in the modern world. I'm your host, Ridwan, and it's great to have you all joining today. 200 of you signed up for the event, and I'm looking forward to be able to interact with most of the folks. One thing is that we will be doing Q&As throughout, right, the event. So feel free to stop us at any time. Just dump in the comments, right? Any questions that you have for some of the key members here, right? We'll be happy to answer that. And welcome everybody, whether you're in Dubai, whether in Canada, whether in UK, wherever you are, right? Really excited to have you here. So, what are we doing today? Well, so, as we know, the role of accounting has changed significantly over the past decade. Accounting is no longer just about recording financial transactions, right? That's something that our computers do for us right now, right? Um, it's no longer about recording financial transactions, AP, AR, bookkeeping, and so on and so forth, right? But it's also about providing relevant information, assigning and assisting in like short and long-term planning, right? and also providing a basic framework for decision making for all the key stakeholders within your company. That's what accounting is, and that's what modern accounting looks like today, right? So today what we'll do is we'll discuss the challenges and opportunities that accountants face in today's fast-paced and ever-evolving business landscape, and we'll explore how technology has changed how accountants work, what skills they need to succeed, how they can add value to organizations beyond traditional record keeping, and just financial reporting in general. So we'll be going through the following agenda, right, that you can see on the screen. We'll do an introduction. We'll see the impact of technology, cover various kinds of newer technologies that you can be using, some of the things that we see as required skills for modern accountants, and the evolving role and responsibility of accountants. And once again, as I mentioned, we'll be doing Q&As throughout. Cool. First and foremost, let me just introduce myself. My name is Mohammed Ridwan. I'm the co-founder and chief product officer at Pluto Card. Pluto was built exactly for the demographic here, which is accountants, CFOs, and finance teams. We are the #1 corporate card and account payables management software that is built specifically for finance teams in the UAE. With Pluto, companies are able to essentially get unlimited corporate cards, capture receipts easily using WhatsApp, manage all of their account payables, invoices in one place, and carry out employee reimbursements. We're one of the fastest growing companies in the region and serve some of the best mid to large enterprise customers in UAE. With me today is Jonathan and Saqib, both from the IFA. Jonathan and Saqib, they have been extremely crucial in defining some of the key modern accounting practices, and they are my go-to experts when it comes to everything related to finance. They will be sharing their insights and experience on how the accountants adapt to changes and their roles in today's world. But Saqib, maybe you can quickly do an introduction for yourself, and I'll hand over to Jonathan after that as well for an introduction.
Well, thank you so much, Ridwan. It's always a pleasure to be with, always be when it comes to online sessions and webinars, doing all these things with you. It's always excited, and welcome all of those who have joined around the world. And thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining us today, and all the way from, of course, UK. My name is Saqib, and I'm the regional director of IFA. I look after the local memberships, and I represent IFA in UAE, Kuwait, and Oman. It's been a very, exciting journey so far, and been working with Jonathan and supported by the IFA team from UK. I'm also by profession, I'm a chartered accountant. I am a co-founder and also, partner in a Dubai-based auditing firm. And that's kind of a very exciting journey. And I can understand what is going on in the market. Always there to support all the local accountants.
Awesome. Jonathan, do you want to do it? I mean, you don't require much of an introduction, but would love an introduction for yourself too.
Look, many thanks, Ridwan, for inviting me, and it's an absolute pleasure to be involved in this event today. A warm welcome to everybody, wherever you're joining us from around the world. And I hope we can impart and give you some information, some knowledge, some learnings, and maybe some takeaways from today's session. My name is Jonathan Barber. I'm the Director of Business Development and Membership for the Institute of Financial Accountants. Ridwan, happy to sort of explain a little bit more later on. Yeah, well, so who are the Institute of Financial Accountants? We are an internationally recognized professional accountancy membership body. We support 49,000 members and students across 100 countries throughout the world. But our specialism, if I can put it this way, is that we focus on supporting accountants and accounting students that work within a small and medium enterprise, an SME, or our members own, run, or work within what we call a small and medium-sized accountancy practice, who are advising those SME-sized organisations. So hopefully that provides a little bit of a feel and a flavour. So, but thank you again for inviting me today.
Amazing. Thank you very much for the introduction. And yeah, we will cover more about the IFA and how you can join the IFA as well towards the end of our conversation today. And again, as I mentioned, we'll be happy to do Q&As throughout. So if you have any questions, right, feel free to stop us at any time. Awesome. So, Jonathan, Saqib, I think we get started, right? I think I am personally keen on just understanding a little bit deeper about your opinions. So, one of the first questions that I wanted to talk to you about is that, the progress of like digitalization that is happening. We're seeing petty cash being digitalized. We're seeing just like practices being digitalized overall, has left accountants with more time to focus on analysis and strategy. And that's something that we focus on at Pluto as well, which is that we see the role of finance as more strategic, right, as opposed to grunt work, right? In your experience, right, and Saqib, in your consulting practice, or Jonathan, through you, the IFA, right, how have you seen that technology has impacted the role of accountants in recent years? Maybe Saqib, you can share.
No, absolutely. There's a huge change. I still remember those days when I started studying for, like my accountancy degree back in 2002. And I used to, we used to calculate the NPV, for example. I'm just giving you like example. So net present value, we used to do it on paper with a ball pen and having a calculator, or maybe a sheet of all the discounted rate of
Right.
returns. Well, the thing has pretty much like changed, and now we have like a very very diversified phenomena that recently when people are now can do all these things on with a click of a button. It's not that which is very important for accountants to understand what is the actual history of the formula behind it, but they just have to focus on the result, and they should know that how to use it and where to use it. Now, what I have seen is in the last, especially in the last decade, especially after 2011, the technology has completely changed the accountancy profession. As a profession, it's completely changed now. Of course, it's completely focused on analytics, and I have seen companies focusing on analytics parts mostly, and the basic data entry, the bookkeeping, and all that kind of stuff is completely like automized. Uh, Even though the reporting is also very important, but understanding the numbers, the final numbers, the financial statements, and then analyzing them and to see and predicting the numbers for the future of the company and identifying the actual problems which exist within the company's financials, that is more of an importance now. What I believe the accountants studying these days, or the accountants in the market, they need to develop their skills of they need to develop the skills of analyzing. They need to develop the skills of understanding the numbers and presenting them. This is the major part which is required as of now from the accountancy side. And believe me or not, I what I can see is the AI, the actual technological developments, ongoing developments, it's becoming more of a competitive profession. I am not saying it will be eliminated at all. No, it's not possible at all, because the accountants as professionals, of course, they have to come up with the they have to come up with new techniques. They have to come up with the they have to align themselves, and they have to create a synergy between the technology and then their profession. So I think it's completely changed. Yes, I completely agree. And the analytics part is more important. Presentation part is more important, and of course, understanding and presenting the numbers is very important.
That's super interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Jonathan, did you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Saqib has said, and he's seen it, he's lived it, he's breathed it over the last 10, 15 plus years. I think ultimately technology has made everything quicker, it's made everything faster. I think from an accountant's perspective, the advancement in technology and automation has removed the human involvement at that sort of back end administrative process and procedure point. But as Saqib has alluded to, it's then made the accountant, whether in business or practice, have to think about the additional time they then have been given and how they use the data that is at their disposal. And I wholeheartedly agree with the fact that the accountant's role is now about what do you actually do with the data? What is it telling you? And how do you use that to your finance department's advantage? But also you share that information with your colleagues across the business. Or if you're in practice, how do you share and use that information to the value of your clients? And I think what we've seen from a practitioner's perspective is very much the move from just offering compliance-led services to needing to be able to offer a range of advisory services, because the time that technology has given you allows you to spend more time providing value, support, and relevant input to and for your clients. So technology's made huge impact.
That's super interesting, and I see that in Dubai as well, because as you know, in the UAE, if you're a business, you have to maintain audited financials, right? So a big part of the accountant's role for a long time was maintaining these audited financials, right? Keeping those books clear, right? And making them well. But with the economic conditions that we are in, right, a strong, deep insight over your P&L and how your cash flows are happening are just extremely, extremely important, right? And that's where a lot of that like decision making and strategies come in. Now, have you seen any kind of like newer technologies being adopted by accountants today, right? And what are some examples of that where people have been using this to be able to free up their time a little bit more, or any examples of even features that we see in like different ERPs that allow accountants to be able to do that?
Look, if I go first, Saqib, on this one.
Absolutely. Look, what I believe is there are three absolutely very important aspects of accountancy. The first one is recording. The second, this is how I actually explain everyone, okay, what accountant actually does. So the first step is, of course, recording. The second is summarizing, and third is reporting. This is the whole accounting in nutshell. Now, it depends. If you go start from the first step, which is recording, this is completely automized now. Most of our journal, links to a business. So, for example, you have a PO system in a business with point of sale. It is directly hitting and hitting your inventory. It is directly hitting your recording your sales. If there's any credit note, it is directly hitting. If it is further automated, the client is receiving the emails from your side. What is the outstanding? What are the SOAs, reconciliations? When it comes to, for example, like preparing the aging reports, it's completely simple now, right? So the major part of your data entry has been skipped now. Now, when you move to the second stage, which is summarization of your record, that has already been done by the ERPs, whether it is a smaller ERP or a major ERP. Oracle, SAP, QuickBooks, or anything like any cloud-based or like desktop version. You take anything, and you will see that it is already summarizing everything for you.
Right.
But when it comes to the reporting part, reports are generally being generated by the system. If it is journal management reports, P&L, balance sheet, you can summarize it. You can kind of customize it, tailor it according to your requirements. But now, what I've seen is that the major focus of any business is being shifting from being doing this focusing on the data entry part and all that. It is completely shifted on the legitimization of the accuracy of the data. That is the important part. Of course, if you automate the process, if you can get the accurate data, you can get the timely data, you can get all that information which is required to make the decisions. But when it comes to using that information, whether these reports are being used for the assurance purposes, for the external audit, internal audit, or maybe for your projections, budgeting, everything. Now, this part is becoming more important. We are not talking about any journal accountant. We are talking about accountancy as a whole, the modernization into it. People are not still being able to understand, especially those who are stepping into this accountancy profession for now, or like they're planning to step in. They're still, kind of not being able to understand that accountants are more of a financial manager now. They are more of they need to understand the operations of the organization. They need to understand the impact of the financial numbers on the organization. They need to also have that knowledge, which is directly, for example, the macroeconomic factors or general microeconomic factors, all those factors, how those are impacting. And then they need to be able to support the management. So, for example, why their cost of sales is increasing, this is more important, right? They need to understand this instead of focusing, okay, what is going into that ledger, because that can be easily automated. So yes, of course, this is how things have pretty much changed. And now, uh, as far as we are concerned, when it comes to even the auditing part, for you go back 2 years ago, people used to send the auditors to the place, to the site. I have personally seen that inventory being done by the drones, which we used to personally do back in 2006 and 7. We used to go with the sheets in hand and ball pens in our hands. Now, those days we used to count every single piece of item being there in the inventory, and we
Right.
used to do it
Right.
on exactly on 31st of December or 30th of June, which is the cutoff date, so that we used to place that kind of movement ban. Okay,
Yeah.
now start counting. We 10 people are inside the store. Nobody can enter. Nobody can go out. And okay, let's count it. Now things have pretty much changed. Now you can do this whole stuff
Yeah.
through the automation now.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, the concept of accounting linked to the auditing part is also becoming, like changed now. You
Hmm.
go back and you see the auditors used to come to your place after a year. You complete the financials. They used to do the checks and everything. Now the new concept, which I've seen actually, and the major firms are already started working on this. They are going to place bots in your systems, the audit bots. Those bots will sit within the system, and they will just be there to highlight any important factor. That's
Mm.
it, nothing else. And at the end of the year, they will know that okay, the numbers are fine because
That's so
their
interesting.
bots are doing everything like on your behalf. So
Hmm.
now why they are how the technology is completely changing. Of course, the profession is now I'm not saying that the jobs will finish or you need to be afraid of that. No, you need to be prepared for and you need to embrace the
Right.
future, that this is the future and this is
Right.
how the accountants needs to change themselves or their careers.
That is so extremely fascinating. And, on that note, right? Yeah, I mean, we don't have drones for our business, but, what we are seeing is that the expectations of a customer, and because we serve accountants and CFOs, right? And we're seeing that the expectations of a customer is to automate as much as possible. Just for example, yeah, last week we were working with a client, right, who wanted to have essentially automated chasing of employees for receipt collections, right? Or like supporting documents collection, even when it's for invoices and others. Because historically, it'll be the month end, you are reconciling your stuff, right? And you would be pinging your employee here and there, right, multiple times before you can get that, right? But now all of this is done automatically, right? In various systems, including ours, and that's, I think, quite fascinating, right? To be able to see all of these big changes that are happening, right? And even I'm also seeing this in ERPs, like traditional ERPs as well, right? Let's say that you're working with Zero, Microsoft Dynamics, QuickBooks, etc. Even them, they are there are certain features which would be considered extremely advanced before. For example, something as sophisticated as using artificial intelligence to be able to automatically categorize your invoices, or using OCR technology to be able to read information from your supporting documents and match them with your transactions. Like, these are becoming kind of like foundational right now in most softwares out there. So that's quite fascinating.
It is absolutely. And look, anything which is giving ease to the overall accounting system
Hmm.
is eliminating the requirement of an accountant or a
Absolutely.
regular accountant.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's where, like, because there's so much change happening in such a rapid time, I think that's where, like, being in a group is extremely important, where you can learn from each other, right? So, the IFA is a very good example of that, right? Where people share information together at each time to be able to, like, continuously accelerate yourself there, right?
I, Ridwan, you're absolutely right. I think we as an institute providing support to our membership. One of the greatest areas of change is around technology, and members understanding what that technological advancement looks like,
Hmm.
but what are the opportunities and the benefits to them. But it's interesting. If I go back a step, one of my examples of technology was going to talk about drones and audit and stock take, but Saqib and yourself have taken that one away from me. But if I talk about if I talk about the UK landscape, from a government level here, we've been on a journey over the last 3-4 years, a government revenue project called Making Tax Digital. So 5 years ago, virtually all of the returns that a company had to provide the revenue were manual. That the government decided was leading to a black hole between what was being collected and what they believe should have been collected. So to try and close that gap, they've started to digitalize certain areas of taxation. So, for example, value added tax, the sales tax in the UK, that has been digitalized for the last 2-3 years. So gone are the days of completing a manual return, cumbersome and time consuming for both the accountant, the business and the revenue. That is all now done through technology, links, APIs. The business completes the return through accredited software. The revenue get it in the format they want, and everything's improved. So I think from a UK perspective, we've definitely seen that. I would also agree. I think internationally, we've seen the rise in the use of apps and technology to, as I think you put it, Ridwan, to actually capture data. So you're not reliant upon paper. You've actually got all of the required information or the supporting information on a phone, on a tablet, and then that feeds into a computer. And I think the other thing
that's so fascinating.
You read about around the world, and especially with the big four or the top 10 accountancy practices, is the way that they're using blockchain or artificial intelligence to actually interrogate the data they have to be able to produce meaningful reports for their clients. So the role of the accountant, as we've already discussed, is changing. But you have to embrace technology, in my opinion, to stay relevant and to stay up to date as an accountant.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree with Jonathan. And that actually goes back to the point, I think Terry Arnold here asked a question, which is, how do you approach balancing the responsibilities of traditional accounting and modern accounting? I have some opinions there, which really follows back from your, what you just said, right? Which is that you just have to embrace change. And one of the really interesting parts about the accounting and finance department is that they control how the finance is happening and the P&L, which means that change management in terms of buying new software or buying new solutions is also under their control for the most part. So anything that is preventing them from not automating a lot of what they need to do is not because they're being blocked by a different department from procurement, etc., because they are the department that also handles that buying aspects of things, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that you really do need to embrace change, right? And you really need to constantly ask yourself hey, okay, I have these processes going on right now, but how can I free up my time further, right? And what can I do today to be able to automate that, right? And what solutions exist to be able to do so? Is that correct, Jonathan, or do you agree?
No, I sorry. And going back to the question, transitioning or how do we get the balance right between the, if you like, the traditional and the modern? I think one point that's hugely important for an accountant, a professional accountant, is they have to have the technical knowledge and know-how. And in simplest terms, if you do not know your debits from your credits, there is a problem. Because one of the potential issues that technology does create is if a report can be produced at the press of a button, the accountant must be able to analyze quickly that report, that balance sheet, that P&L, that cash flow statement, and identify something that's wrong. And it's so the technical skills of an accountant, we mustn't get away from and explain that they're really, really important. But somebody has to upskill themselves. Somebody has to keep themselves up to date. And whether that is your, your understanding and your ability to use, cracking maybe old terminology, but, Excel spreadsheets, the ability to use and understand and analyze data is going to be very important in the future. So I don't think we can underestimate the need for the technical skills to
Right.
match and support the
Right.
change and the newer skills that somebody is going to have to demonstrate as a professional accountant, whether you be
Right.
newly qualified or the CFO of a
Mm.
multinational organization.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. Sorry, Saqib, go on.
No, I completely agree with both of you, but my just wanted to add one very important point here. When we started back in, I started my journey in accounting as a professional accountant back in, I think, 2007. So there used to be the accounting department separate from the finance department. Now, these days, both of the functions have easily been merged because the actual traditional accounting job has been eliminated completely. Whether it is completely eliminated or maybe there are very few accountants are required to do the job, where people used to have huge accounting teams. Now the modern accountancy requires your knowledge to be applied along with the accounting knowledge, and also the financial side and the analytical knowledge and skills combined. And then people in this profession needs to be able to support the organization from the financial and non-financial perspective. So for example, one accountant handling the receivables of a company does not mean that he will be entering every single invoice in the system. No, but he needs to understand that how he can help the overall finance team to prepare the projections, and how he can be able to, give the numbers, right numbers, accurate numbers to the accounting team or the finance team as a whole, and can support the CFO to sit on the board and explain that this is going to be our next target, or this is going to be how we are going to be faced. Are we going to face any sort of a cash flow crunch, or maybe we can cover it from there and all, or we have a lot of budgets to expand our team. So
Hmm.
what I think is that the function of accountant is now converted as accounting and finance, and both things are now kind of merged. And we see a perspective where the accounting numbers are being punched by the same guy, and because the time has, changed now, and they are not doing that traditional accounting job. So balance, what we need to create in between them, is that can be bridged or balanced through the latest skills required. I have seen those times when people used to say, let's do SAP course, let's do one Oracle course, let's become a functional consultant, let's become a technical consultant.
Hmm.
But the role of accountant is not to do all these things. His role, he needs to understand that you are the only person who can maneuver around, and you who knows that when he should be able to read, like through the lines, when he looks at the financial numbers of an organization, maybe income statement or balance sheet. He
Hmm.
should be able to understand the numbers and the impact on those numbers. So
Absolutely.
that's how they can have a bridge between the traditional accounting and the modern accounting, of course.
Absolutely. So if I could summarize some of the points that were made right now, which is that I think the overall expectations of what it means to be an accountant has just significantly increased, right? Whereby, yes, fundamentals, technical, etc., right? You have to have that knowledge. That is just, you have to be good at that. That's just, those are foundations now, right? Those are not anything that is like beyond. But beyond that, you also have to take a finance role within the company, right? Where you have to fulfill the requirements of truly understanding what does this mean for our business, right? And what does this mean for just the team in general, right? Am I summarizing that correctly?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
completely agree. Yeah.
Perfect. So, on that note, one of the things that really comes up is that what we are seeing is that, you know, moving from the accountant to senior positions like directors or CFOs even, we're seeing the big difference, not the, sorry, we're seeing a very big change where the CFOs and the CEOs work extremely close together now, right? In fact, funnily enough, I was listening to this podcast called the CFO Weekly by Dan Fletcher, and he mentioned one thing which was super fascinating to me. He mentioned that the true way of knowing if a CFO is actually great is if the CEO steps away from the business for a few months, the CFO would be considered the interim, right? And I thought that was quite a big, fascinating statement. And I wanted to get your opinions on that. Like, what do you think about that? And, why do you think that shift is happening right now?
I, Look, I think the CFO is an individual who has a handle on and a control of the finances of any organization. So they have that understanding. But as the CFO has progressed to that particular stage in their career, they will have demonstrated, and I believe they've have to show certain other skills. So they've had to demonstrate commercial acumen. They've had to demonstrate business understanding and strategic thinking. And they've had to actually act as, along the way, I'll call it, they've had to act as a business partner to the other areas of the business, whether that be logistics, whether that be operations, whether that be retail, whatever the sort of business is. So the CFO on their journey to holding that role should and has actually been involved in most other areas of the business. They've developed an understanding and an appreciation. They think strategically, they think commercially. So when the CEO steps away for whatever reason, the CFO can often step up and into that role because they can still maintain the finances, but they've got that other commercial strategic business awareness to allow them to take on the role of the CEO. I think that answers your question, Ridwan, or would be my opinion as to why the CFO is often seen as that interim or potential successor. And I think there are many cases around the world where, and amongst some of the larger organizations, ultimately, the CEO actually is a qualified accountant.
That I was muted, but yes, I totally agree with that. And it's even my role as a founder right now, right, in my company has been significantly impacted by just looking at our P&Ls, our cash flow, etc. One of the very important things that you can do as a person who is familiar with accounting and others is, for example, your monetization strategies, right? Which you need to work on with your CFOs to be able to do projections, to be able to look at the macroeconomic conditions and see what your monetization strategy is, and if or not it needs to change as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Makes sense. And, you mentioned, Jonathan, one of the really important things. And by the way, Terry, hopefully that answers your question. I know we had a long-winded approach to doing that. So thank you very much for it. Also, looks like we have a few other folks joining us. Welcome, Glory, to the team, and welcome, Rizwan, as well, right? Welcome, everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to just add a comment, right? We will answer questions on the go, right? So happy to do that as you go. Okay. One of the things that was really interesting is that, we mentioned that you need to upskill yourself and that a modern accountant has multiple skills, right? One thing that I get asked quite often is that we say that an accountant needs to understand data and analytics, right? Part of data and analytics is through your Excel sheet and through your P&L, but a lot of it can also depend on your product analytics, or like if you're working for a software firm, for example, where you might need to understand a little bit of SQL to be able to get true data, right? Have you seen any particular hard skills like that come up in your chats with other accountants or other finance team members right now? For example, learning SQL or anything else that has come up that you see to be a common trend right now?
I've got to be honest. From my side, it's probably more of what I would call, in inverted commas, the traditional softer skills that I think are sought. Things like the ability to communicate, both verbally and in written form. The ability to be able to persuade others, and that links very strongly to communication. Maybe there's a particular project an organisation are going to undertake. Maybe there's a piece of capital investment that needs taking. Maybe a business needs restructuring. Well, the CFO is going to be asked to crunch the numbers behind that, because is there a worthwhile way forward? But then if the CFO cannot communicate or cannot persuade other board level or senior management colleagues or the wider organisation, there is an issue. I think the ability to work as a team, and that's not just within the finance function, but within the wider business, is hugely important. And I think probably given overall the outlook for, and I don't mean to be negative here, but if you look at the global economic outlook and financial situation at the moment, I think a CFO has to have the skills around resourcefulness and adaptability. So I'd say they're more traditional softer skills, but I think they are hugely relevant now, as they were a number of years ago, and will still remain relevant in the future, Ridwan.
I love that. So your point is around the fact that now more than ever, what technical skills are important, but you're seeing the significant impact of good communication skills, right?
Absolutely.
Got it.
No, I believe, if I may, because there are two important aspects. What we have seen, being working with, of course, IFA, and communicating with a lot of accounting members, the need for continuous professional development is always there, and that is not going to be eliminated at all. So the actual what do we see that the accountancy bodies, the role of the accounting body, or your I think they are kind of mentors to us. They're not just providing the certification or taking your exams to give you the tag of a relevant or normal accountant. No, they are acting as mentor. So if you ask Jonathan, I believe they are doing, let's say, like 10 webinars and events every month, or maybe more than that, around the world. And it's really, kind of designed and tailored for the local needs. For us, for example, in UAE, we have done corporate tax related. In UK, they've been doing AML related and all other stuff. Now, if you go back and see that how these things can help the modern CFOs and can help the modern accountants to improve their skills. If, let's say, something comes up in the future and that is absolutely required, so these mentors will definitely step forward, because they want to be relevant and they want to keep themselves as relevant, to the members, and they want to support the members of their accounting bodies. Now, it depends what body you are a member of, how they actually support you, how they actually help you to develop your skills, to develop your professional, knowledge at a time when it is required. And it has to be a continuous thing for us. So I believe that these things actually, can gives the, especially the IFA and other couple of other very recognized bodies, of course. What I've seen from my personal experience, it gives them the advantage, or the members of them gets the added advantage. So yeah, it's something which is absolutely required, whether it comes to anything. You work on the Microsoft Excel, you just step into the Excel sheet, for example, and you see people are still using those 10 years ago type of things. But now the Excel has completely changed. It's a new world. You need to stop using the normal pivot tables, or you need to into the power pivots and all that kind of stuff. So people do not see that there are thousands of extensions available for the Microsoft Excel, which you can use to completely eliminate the wastage of time from
Right,
your
right.
work. So you need to understand that how you can develop yourself for the future accounting.
Absolutely, absolutely. I
Mm.
love that, and I think that all goes back to the importance of just community, right? Who's just on top of everything, right? And that's I think extremely important because, as you said, not just one person alone can't keep up with all of the shifting tides that are happening, and the only way to do that is to be part of a community, right? So yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. Jonathan, you touched on this briefly, which is, for example, you told us about the digital taxation that regime that is happening in
Mm.
the UK, right? And Saqib, you've been working very heavily in UAE tax laws right now because the UAE tax laws is actually fairly new and it's going to be starting to be implemented from 2023 onwards, right? Now, what do you think, or do you have any advice for modern accountants, right, to be well prepared for this and see if there is anything specifically that they need to adopt to be able to just push themselves forward and outside of traditional accounting?
I have two important things. One, just keep reading and learning. This is very important, and I think this is missing from our accountancy profession. Those accountants who have who have the experience in the market and they do not actually kind of spend a lot of time or enough time in reading. So that's very important for them. And the second thing, keep asking. uh, don't just sit back and expect the things will come to you in the best possible way, but it's not going to happen. So you need to start connecting and asking specifically for from the corporate tax point of view or any other thing. So for example, back in 2018, I still remember when IFRS 16, for example, was kind of implemented at that time. It was there was like early adoption, normal adoption, and all that kind of stuff. So it took me like 3-4 days to go through the whole IFRS and understand, okay, how it can be implemented to my organization. And I, this kind of assignments of like whenever there is a new thing in the market, you have to start learning. This is one thing. The second thing is, if you do not understand, you need to still be connected with those who clearly understand this thing. If you do not connect with those people, you will not be able to understand this. So you can't just sit back and assume that yes, you can manage everything on your own. Maybe you are not able to do that because it's not your part. You don't have the skill. Okay, let's develop it. So now, when specifically from the UAE point of view, corporate tax is implementing, things are honestly, like, I get at least 5 inquiries every single day from my clients and from my existing clients, from my new clients or prospective clients, of course, and they are asking almost similar questions. Almost similar questions. So what we have done is we have created, like a circle on WhatsApp group. So keep sharing the knowledge with each other. That's important. But if they cannot handle it by themselves, so they have to ask questions. Now, what is the major impact people needs to start understanding from the corporate tax point of view? They need to pull out their accounting records. They need to start looking into their accounting records, the structures, trial balance, the every single thing, what how the corporate tax is kind of their record is aligned with the corporate tax law or not. If not, they need to start changing and start adopting the new thing. And the same thing goes with any other new thing or knowledge comes into the market, maybe new IFRS, new replacement of IFRS, a change in IFRS or IS or auditing standards or the local standard or local law. So accountants has to step up. They have to they have to consider themselves a continuous student of a particular profession. They should not say that they got the designation of being IFA or any other accounting body member and they can just stop it. No, they can't. They have to keep doing it.
I would wholeheartedly agree with a lot of what Saqib has said. I think if you enter the accountancy profession, you're actually entering into a commitment to keep yourself up to date, both technically and from a wider perspective. So your continuing professional development, your CPD, is vital. And if you are on top of and you look at a range of differing continual professional development. I think that will help you in the modern marketplace now and in the future. I think if we're talking more about technology, and whether you as a practice or as a business are utilizing the most appropriate technology, then you need to go out there and research. You need to look at demonstrations of other products, because there might always be something better. There might be an upgrade in the current technology that you're using, but you've got to make sure that it is providing you with the efficiencies that you need as a business. But I think as well, in certain countries around the world, you've also got to look at the regulatory or legislative requirements of what technology provides and allows you to do and what you must do. So I think research is one point I would add. I would think your lifelong journey of learning as an accountant and your continuing professional development is vitally important. But that should hold you in good stead if it's a topic or a subject matter you take seriously.
I love that. I love that. And thank you for sharing that. As we were talking about this, everyone, whether it's in accounting or finance or any other profession, they always fear technology, right? They always fear the fact that, it is just extremely, things will change, right? I'll be out of a job, etc. Terry, for example, was mentioning that, what do you think about ChatGPT, right? How things have been automated using that, right? But, my answer to all of that is really the fact that, look, things will change, right? But what you cannot take out is the deep insights that an accountant or finance team members bring in terms of in terms of the predictability of the nature of your business, right? Because that requires extreme contextual knowledge, right? So regardless of whether it's ChatGPT or many other things, I think you'll be fine,
Yeah.
Amazing. So, okay, fantastic. So we are coming close to the end of our chat. So if anybody else has any questions, right, please feel free to ask them right now. But in the meanwhile, Jonathan, how do people find you, or how would they reach out to you, and what can they reach out to you for? And Saqib as well, same question over to you guys.
No, thank you. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll find me there, Jonathan Barber, Director of Business Development and Membership for the Institute of Financial Accountants. Please visit the Institute's website, www.ifa.org.uk. Please email me. I don't know if people have got a pen or a piece of paper in front of them, or they can type this, but please email me. All lowercase, Jonathan, JONATHAN, Jonathan B @ifa.org.uk. If you are an accountant, you're not a member of a professional body, and you're looking for recognition, you're looking for reputational enhancement, if you're wanting to see your career take and go to that next level, please reach out to Saqib or myself. Membership of the Institute can help you in all of those areas and others. If you've started or you're partway through a journey to become a professional accountant, but you've not completed enough professional studies, the Institute have its own education program, IFA Direct. Through studying, you could also become a member of the Institute. So reach out to us both from a membership and a education perspective. I talked about continuing professional development, CPD, whether it be in the UAE, whether it be in other overseas countries, whether it be in the UK. The Institute offer a raft of CPD to members and non-members. By visiting the website, there's a CPD area. Engage with us, see what we're talking about, what value, what could you learn. Ridwan, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Saqib, over to you.
So I think it's really important to. I'll just create two different aspects here. The first one is, of course, the which Jonathan has already covered, that if somebody is part of a profession or part of a accounting profession, and they are halfway through, or they are like already completed their qualification and they still wants to enhance. So it's really important for them to become part of a very huge accounting body, which is IFA. And so they can get this important step forward in their career. They can gain the membership of this accounting body and they can be recognized around the world. It's super exciting. It can be really exciting for them. Now, the second part, of course, how I can, being in UAE, being part of the UAE's community of accountants, how we can actually, people, why they should be connecting with me. Of course, the membership is one part, but the other part is, which is really important, that we do a lot of regular events, and I believe that those are really, really important for those who wants to enhance their skills, those who wants to enhance their knowledge, so they can be, of course, they can gain advantage of becoming part of those events. Now, how they can keep track of those events. Of course, IFA has a complete region-wise pages over their website, which Jonathan has already mentioned. So they can go over there and they can attend. There is normally we don't actually charge the non-IFAs members, so still everyone can have the chance of being part of those events if those are free for the non-members.
Awesome.
And of course, for the members, it's always free. Now, the second part, of course, is that we have a local community where we have divided it into three parts so far. First one is the job seekers community for helping the local accountants, and if somebody is actually in process or he's looking for a major switch, so we have a community for the community builders community, we call it, which is based in UAE. And we can people can be connected over there, they can help and they can get help from there. The second part which is the professional development part. And so we have a complete group, which is a very active and connected group where people can know that what is happening around within the accounting profession and they can ask questions. The third part, of course, which I want to mention is if somebody specifically related to corporate tax, if they have any problem, they're facing any challenge, they can always reach me through my email address. I can also mention my email address, or that is saqib at ifa.org.uk. That is my IFA email address, and they can always approach me through the email, or they can always connect me through LinkedIn, and I'll be more than happy to help them.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, guys. I think Sadain had one question here. Is the IFA recognized in USA? And if not, how would they be able to do so?
Well, I think, Jonathan, yeah, please go.
Yeah, the institute, and thank you, Sadain, for the question. The institute are recognised globally. Why is that? The institute are full members of the International Federation of Accountants. That's IFAC for short. IFAC are the global standard bearers and regulators of the accountancy profession. So any accountancy membership body worth their salt should be a full member of IFAC. The Institute have held full membership of IFAC for the last 12 years. So that provides us with global recognition. I hope that answers the question that's been posed.
Thank you, Jonathan. Really appreciate that. Sadain, hopefully that answers your question. We'll wait another minute for any further questions before we call it a day. Fantastic. By the way, thank you so much for the amazing insights today, Saqib and Jonathan. Really appreciate that. This was really eventful, and I'm glad that you also shared your contact details with the rest of the folks here, right? So they will be able to get in touch with you. And I think we're gonna head it out, call it a day for the time being, right? Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you very much for all the attendees. Really appreciate that, and for your comments as well, right? If there's any further questions, feel free to leave it in the comments, and we will do our best to answer them asynchronously as well. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Ridwan.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.